Hello, I'm David Hart, Executive Vice President at the Florida Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to another edition of the Florida Chamber's Bottom Line. Our special guest today is Eric Szilagyi, President and CEO of Florida Power and Light, past Chairman of the Florida Chamber of Commerce, and current Chair of our International Business Council. Eric, welcome to the show.
Thank you, David. It's good to be here.
Eric, we're here today to talk about the importance of international trade. Florida has 15 ports, a robust and hopefully growing manufacturing sector. Why is international trade important to our state?
International trade has a huge impact on our state's economy and employs over 2.5 million people are impacted by the trade that we have here in the state of Florida. So everything from all the ports you mentioned, but we also have 17 airports here with international ties. We have a lot of import-export businesses that are here, and our diverse multicultural economy is terrific for attracting companies who really want to do business overseas, but have the ability to headquarter here in a predictable, stable environment and then grow their businesses elsewhere.
The Florida Chamber's international trade study a few years ago called for a doubling of Florida origin exports, and we've been promoting that, but there's some headwinds right now. There's global uncertainty, there's the high dollar in terms of the currency, and there's just enough uncertainty out there that it's causing some headwinds for exporters. So what can Florida be doing to make sure we're putting wind at the back of companies in Florida that want to export?
Key to any business in Florida, including those who export, is again having a predictable and a stable environment to do business, low taxes, a great workforce to tap into, and if you're an exporter, logistics is critical. So having the infrastructure in place from great highways, rail systems, and ports and airports is critical for them to be successful. We now have in Miami the first Panamax ready port. We've got railheads that take goods very quickly from ports throughout Florida up to the Midwest in a matter of a day and a half. You can get your goods and services imported in and spread out to the United States very quickly. You can get manufactured goods down here on ships, on aircraft, out quickly as well. We just need to make sure we continue to have a very robust infrastructure, low tax environment, and a friendly, predictable place for them to do business.
I want to ask you about foreign direct investment. So right now in Florida, over 250,000 jobs can be directly tied to foreign direct investment in our state. But for a long time, Florida was in the top 10 of the 50 states. And last year we saw that we fell out of the top 10 for the first time in a very long time. That's a signal to us that we need to be doing something better. What can we do to make sure we are capturing a greater share of that foreign direct investment for our state?
Yeah, it's a great question. The first thing that we need to do is not take any of this for granted. I think what you're seeing now is that other states, many of which are struggling, many of these states now have problems either financially or with their workforces, and they understand that they are losing jobs, and the only way to offset that is to really aggressively court businesses from overseas to invest directly into their states. So they're working hard to do that, and frankly, I don't think we've been as aggressive as we probably could be on attracting that foreign direct investment. Making sure that these opportunities in these companies from overseas understand the advantages and the benefits that you have by doing business in Florida. So being able to have, as you know, an international trade, particularly in international business, a lot of this is based on relationships and the conversations that you have with these investors and trying to get them to really understand the advantages that we have here in the state to come visit Florida. Once you come here and you see what a great place it is to do business, it's hard to go anywhere else, but part of this is us being able to market what we have and then aggressively go after them.
20 years ago, the Florida Chamber of Commerce was very involved in the creation of Enterprise Florida, and they've been amazing partners over those 20 years in economic development. I guess we all recognize that this session is going to bring about another conversation amongst our elected officials about the purpose and utility of incentives And I wonder if you'd like to comment on the incentives conversation that's going on.
You know, the conversation around incentives is a difficult one in many quarters, but probably a healthy one to have. It's always good to go back and look at your programs and making sure that everything is being done as efficiently as possible. The reality is that Enterprise Florida's track record has been pretty stellar. It's done a great job of establishing relationships globally, of attracting businesses to come to Florida, and creating a lot of jobs. Remember, this is a state that just a few years ago had lost over 800,000 jobs. And today, we've actually added over 1 million private sector jobs in just a few short years. We can't take that for granted, but we also need to take a look at how are we doing things and what's the best way to move forward. The relationships in some of the offices that Enterprise Florida has established internationally, I think, are critically important for our future success. We need to look at those. We need to measure them, benchmark them, make sure they're delivering on the value they are, find out where those new markets are we need to be investing in, and then hopefully the legislature will do the same and find the support necessary in order to be able to fund those. The other area that I think is important for Enterprise Florida to be able to continue doing is marketing the brand of Florida. Many people still view Florida as a tourist destination or a place that after a very, very tough life maybe of working somewhere else or having a successful life somewhere else, this is the reward to retire to. But instead, we need to make sure that people understand this is a great place to do business, to actually invest in, to grow your business, and to be successful before you retire. And Enterprise Florida has done, I think, a good job on marketing Florida. We need to continue to do that because ultimately companies, individuals, they have a choice of where they want to invest their money, where they want to build their factories, where they want to distribute their products, and where they want to ultimately have their workforce. And we need to be able to educate them as to why Florida is the easy choice for them to make that decision.
Eric, I'll close with this. Annually, as you know, the Florida Chamber hosts a International Days Summit that brings together companies, ports, manufacturers, ag community, and others that care about international trade and want to see Florida grow. You and Florida Power Light have been instrumental as sponsors of that event. You obviously believe in it, but for our other viewers, why should they come to International Days on February 14th and 15th this year?
International Days is an extraordinary opportunity to bring together people from across the industries that are engaged in import and export, and that frankly so many Floridians rely on for their jobs. So bringing these folks together to be able to have a dialogue about what's working, what's not working, how can we improve, and then how can we expand is really an opportunity that everybody should take advantage of. I'd welcome them to come to Tallahassee. A lot of issues are on the table that are very important. And again, as I said before, you can't take any of this for granted. If we do a good job, we'll be able to actually grow and get more people to work. This really comes down about making sure that Floridians have an opportunity to not only stay employed, but to actually become employed if they're not now, or to attract other people to come to the state. International Days is a great way of doing that.
Eric, thanks for being with us. And to our viewers, thank you for joining us on another edition of the Florida Chamber's Bottom Line.